Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper, and I tested out the accuracy of the SIG MCX-SPEAR chambered in 7.62 NATO today, and I wanted to share those results with you and give you some things to think about when it comes to what this weapon system is capable of. This is the pistol configuration, which means it only has a 13-inch barrel, and I wanted to see if that 13-inch barrel could still deliver a high level of accuracy so I could take this battle rifle concept and morph it into a DMR for my specific use case scenario. Now, you might ask why I'd want a 13-inch barrel on a 7.62 NATO chambered firearm. Well, mostly to accommodate a suppressor. What you see right here is a Huxworks Ventum 7.62 flow-through suppressor, and this particular weapon system was specifically designed to run suppressed. So with that in mind, I still wanted a system that was relatively mobile, considering that you add a suppressor onto a 13-inch barrel and you still have the equivalent of a 19 or 20-inch barrel firearm, while still providing the ballistic results required from 308 Winchester or 7.62 NATO. So we're going to start with 7.62 NATO ball ammo from IMI Systems. It's 150 grain full metal jacket projectiles, and I'm going to use that as a control group because it's the type of ammunition a lot of people tend to stock up on and have a lot of because it's affordable. So we're going to see how that does out of this particular system, and then we're going to move on to more precision-related ammo, such as Cellular and Bellet 168 grain hollow point boat tail, which is their 308 precision rifle ammunition. We're also going to use 308 Fiocchi Match ammunition with 175 grain Sierra Match Kings. And then we're going to have the gold standard here, which is Federal Gold Medal Match, 175 grain Sierra Match Kings and 308 Winchester, which is what a lot of people consider to be some of the best precision ammunition for 308, but we'll see how this particular platform likes it. And then we're also going to use 165 grain Federal Fusion bonded jacketed soft points because I've had good luck with them in the past, and it gives us another range of bullet weights in order to test out. So 13-inch barrel has a 1 in 10 twist rate, and obviously with the Huxworks suppressor on the end, we're going to make sure that everything maintains that same form factor in order to have proper results. Now, I do want to mention that Midway USA is the biggest supporter of the channel, and of course, thanks to them, I can get out here and do accuracy testing and everything else related to the SIG MCX-SPEAR that I get to do. So a big thanks to Midway USA, and of course, thanks to them, I also was able to get some very high quality glass for projects like this one, such as this Leupold Mark V HD, 3.6 to 18 by 44 with the Tremor 3 reticle. Now, a lot of people don't like the Tremor 3. I do because of where I live being extremely windy. But if I lived anywhere else, I probably would have chosen a different reticle. But here, it does make a lot of sense to have those wind holds. So let's go ahead. We'll get dialed in. I will show you all of the results at the end of the video, including MOA measurements and everything else. And then we will discuss what we found, and I'll just give you my thoughts as to how all this is going. All right, so first up for a control group, we're going to use IMI 7.62 NATO 150 grain full metal jacket ball ammo because it's just the cheap range ammunition a lot of people tend to stock up on, but I've found it to not be very accurate. So we're going to shoot that control group, and then we're going to move on to what should be the more accurate loadings. As you can see, that's what we have loaded in here right now. Okay. Let's see what kind of groups we can get. Don't forget, 13-inch barrel with the Huxworks 7.62 Ventum. Okay, 5-shot group. Let's check it out. All right, so now the control group is done and we're gonna move on to Federal Gold Medal Match 175 grain Sierra Match Kings. Now, these should kind of be like the gold standard for precision out of a 308, but you never know when it comes to different platforms, so let's try it out. Get a 5-round group, see how it goes. Target number 1. Okay, it felt like it got a little wily, so definitely a little bit more kick from those bigger 175 grain projectiles, but we'll check that out and then move on. All right, so not super impressed with that grouping from the Federal 175 grain gold medal match, but you know, it's possible that this barrel likes a little bit lighter weight bullets, or it's very windy and I'm not the most competent shooter. But either way, we're gonna keep moving on. This is a Cellular & Bellet 168 grain precision rifle ammunition. It's a hollow point boat tail projectile, and it's right in that medium range for 308 when it comes to bullet weight. So let's give it a try. Do a 5-round group and see how it goes. So be on target number 2. Shooting very low. Okay, well, we'll check that one out, see how it did, and then we'll move on. All right, so far the Cellular & Bellet 168 grain hollow point boat tail precision match, whatever they want to call it at this point, because that's too many words, has been the best group of the day. So pretty impressed with it actually, especially out of what you would consider to be a battle rifle with a 13-inch barrel, right? So everything's still tight when it comes to suppressor and everything else. We're gonna move on to the Fiocchi 175 grain Sierra Match King loading. Now this is gonna be very similar to the Federal loading, but sometimes different powder charges and everything else can change the way accuracy works down range. So we're gonna test it out anyway, but I do have a feeling that this rifle might, or sorry, pistol might prefer the 165 to 168 grain range of projectiles. So let's give this a try. All right, this will be target number 3. The first one was a flyer. Okay, well, I think my theory was most likely correct based on projectile weight preference of the rifle or pistol. I can't help myself, it just keeps happening. But let's check that one out. And then I'm gonna move on to one more type of loading just to kind of check that theory. All right, so that Fiocchi 175 grain Sierra Match King loading was the worst group of the day. And so I'm pretty confident in saying that this particular weapon system doesn't like the heavy weight 308 rounds. So the 168 grain projectiles from Cellier and Bellet are the most accurate group so far. So we're gonna try something. This is the Federal Fusion, the bonded jacketed soft point. That's 165 grains. And we'll see how this does as the final accuracy test of the day. But if this is good, then I think we'll kind of see exactly what bullet weight this particular weapon system is looking for. Because I keep trying to say the word other than pistol, I'm just gonna keep saying weapon system, I guess. But let's give this a try. And then we'll wrap everything up. I'll tell you exactly what size groups I was getting out of this particular platform. And in all honesty, at least when it comes to the correct loadings, I'm pretty impressed with what this is producing, especially based on what it is designed to be, more so than what it's supposed to be capable of, right? So let's give this a try, see how it goes. This will be on target number 4. Dropping low to the left. Pretty common from what I've seen from the rest of the day. Okay, well, we'll go check that out. In all honesty, not super great. So let's see what it looks like and then we'll wrap things up. All right, so starting with the control group, we have the IMI 762 NATO 150 grain full metal jacket ball ammo. And that produced a 2.25 inch group, which isn't too bad and probably within spec for NATO standards as well as what the SIG MCX-SPEAR should be capable of. But if I didn't have this flyer right here, it does look like a 1 inch group. So 4 out of 5 shots were in a 1 inch group, but with that 5th round, we're getting a 2.25 inch group. And honestly, I mean, that could have been shooter error, but I have to give you the data exactly how it is. So there you go, now you're aware. Now, moving down, we'll go to target number 1, which was the 175 grain Federal gold medal match Sierra Match King loading, right? Like I said, this should be the gold standard of precision accuracy from a 308 generally when it comes to factory ammunition. But with this, I got a 2 inch group. So, and you can see everything was low and to the left. It's just the way that the scope was zeroed originally, I guess. And so I have some work to do regarding that apparently. But regardless, a 2 inch group is nothing that special when it comes to how expensive this ammunition is and how great it is according to the precision rifle shooting community, right? And this is similar to the loading that the military would be using, I believe. I think that's called the M118LR or something along those lines. So I guess the SIG just didn't really like the 175 grain projectiles. But either way, a 2 inch group from the Federal gold medal match. Now, the second target was the 168 grain cellular and bellet precision rifle ammunition with the hollow point boat tail projectiles, right? And that got a 0.75 inch group. So we got Sub-MOA from 168 grain hollow point boat tail ammunition from cellular and bellet of all brands, right? And this is actually the cheapest ammunition on this target today, other than the 7.62 NATO. So a Sub-MOA group, and not just Sub-MOA, but 0.75 inches. I mean, you can see, I don't know if the camera will actually pick that up this far away or not, but I mean, it is a really tight group. So obviously the best group of the day, and very impressive that the SIG with a 13-inch barrel can still produce that level of accuracy as long as you're using the ammunition that it likes, right? So really good from the cellular and bellet. Likely the ammunition I'm going to start stocking up on for that particular weapon system, all right? Now, moving down to target number 3, we have the Fiocchi 175 grain Sierra Match King loading. And kind of the same story as the Federal, but worse. So that gave a 3.88 inch group, which is not very good, right? Not even within the standards I would hold to a battle rifle, right? I want at least 3 MOA, but this is sub 4 MOA, which probably for the military would be acceptable, but just not for me. So there was a flyer. And what I will say is that without that flyer, and I did call that flyer when we were doing the actual shooting part of the test, I was aware that that first shot just wasn't a very good shot. I could just tell that I may have pulled it, or I just had bad form, or whatever it was. But without it being a flyer, it's a 1.75 inch group. If you cut that little guy off here on the end, 1.75 inch group, okay? And that's not bad at all for what should be a battle rifle, right? So honestly, if we kind of look at it in the same vein as the Federal, we have a 2-inch group here and a 1.75 inch group here without that flyer. I wouldn't be surprised that if this wasn't a flyer, that we'd probably have about a 2-inch group here also. And so 2 inches isn't horrible for the type of weapon system that we're using, but it's not as good as it can be apparently, right? So moving on from there, we'll go to target number 4, which was the Federal Fusion 165 grain bonded jacketed soft points. Now, I thought this was going to do better because of the cellular and bellet ammunition, but this is hunting ammunition and it's not meant for precision, and it just didn't do very well at all. I got a 3-inch group with that. So yes, with the flyer, it was a 2.5 inch group if you get rid of the flyer, right? Which the flyer would have been this guy up here because it's, you know, just kind of off target from everything else. But I don't know if you can actually call that a flyer. And in all reality, this is probably the truth of the group, 3 inches. So 3-inch group, not good. So it just didn't like it. So it's not just based on the grain weight, because 165 and 168 are pretty close, but there's a huge difference in accuracy out of those two different cartridges. So strangely enough, at least from what it looks like today, okay, the best group is that cellular and bellet, which Sub-MOA 0.75 inch group. That's huge. That is really good. I mean, answer solved. I don't need to get any other type of ammo for that particular weapon system anymore. We already know what it's going to be getting from here on out. But the 175s at 2 inches would technically be second place when it comes to accuracy today. But in reality, my actual belief here is that the 150 full metal jacket ball ammo was really second place, and that this is truly a flyer. Because as you can see, I got 2 rounds inside of each other right here. Like, this is 2 rounds, 3, 4, and then the 5th is down here. And without that flyer, we've got a 1-inch group, an MOA group from ball ammo, right? 7.62 NATO ball ammo, 150 grain full metal jackets. So honestly, this is number 2 in my book. So what I learned from this test is that this precision match ammunition from cellular and bellet is the primary loading for that particular weapon system from here on out. I have no questions about it. This is what I'm going to be using. But then for the backup stock, as well as for range time and for getting training in and everything else, the 7.62 NATO ball ammo, good to go. I don't have any complaints about that. I will use that all day long, especially based on the price compared to any of these other types that we tested today. So I would love you to let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are about this accuracy test, what you would suggest trying out if you had other cartridges that you like, especially if they're similar to the cellular and bellet loading over here. Maybe there's some other ones I'll try out in the future just in case there's, I don't know, a better price or maybe even better accuracy. But I just don't see getting better than 0.75 MOA out of a 13-inch barreled battle rifle configuration. I mean, that's really impressive. And yes, everything was shot at 100 yards today. So I think that should be pretty obvious, but I wanted to make sure to say that yes, we were at 100 yards. So, I mean, we got the results. We got them right here. This is really good stuff. Now, also, in case you guys are wondering, these are called Warbird Deep State sunglasses. They started supporting the channel. I like their stuff because it looks pretty cool. And if you like it, I mean, it does come in a cool little case as well, which apparently I can't actually show you right now. But, hold on. There we go. And, I mean, they're pretty cool. So I'll have a link to these down in the description as well as in the pinned comment. And if you use the code MAGIC, you get 10% off. So just throwing that out there because they're supporting the channel now. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I think that we know exactly where I'm going after this when it comes to the type of ammunition I'm purchasing. And besides that, that's going to be it for Magic Prepper.